Alright folks, here is my commentary and review of the Holybro Shuriken's flight characteristics. We're going to start with me flying the stock PIDs and rates with no tuning at all, and I'm trying to do kind of the same maneuvers I normally do during my acro flying so you can get a sense of it. The initial rates are a little bit lower than I usually fly. I think they're a good choice for a ready to fly because not everybody is ready to handle the higher rates. The stock PIDs have been tuned. They're not the defaults, but I still think they have some room for improvement. And I'll point out to you what I think are the sort of deficiencies in the tune when I see them here. One of the things that I notice is a sort of a hitching or stuttering in, I see right there where the nose came up a little, hitching, stuttering in turns, in like sweeping turns. Instead of a nice smooth turn, it'll kind of, the nose will kind of bobble a little. Here, watch here, maybe it'll happen. Well, that one wasn't too bad. And of course, prop wash, the hardest thing to get rid of course. Let's keep watching the flight and see if anything else jumps out. And if you go back and watch this video or this section of the video again and watch the sort of sweeping turns and watch the kind of roughness in the sweeping turns, the copter is kind of bobbing a little bit on the pitch axis or rocking a little bit on the roll axis when it should be just tracking straight and smooth through the turn. It's not prop wash, it's something else. That's an example of a way in which I think this tune can be improved, and I am going to show you later the results of how the copter flew after I did my best. See right there? See how it's kind of bobbling a little? That's not the best. So I am going to show you later, there's prop wash, what I was able to get out of it when I tuned it as best I could. The next thing I did was I left the PIDs alone, but I brought the rates back to closer to where I usually fly them. So now you can see the rates are faster. The copter hasn't changed so much in its flight characteristics in terms of how it handles prop wash and so forth, but I'm able to fly a little more aggressively and it looks a little more like I usually do. If you compare these videos to some of the other stuff I fly though, hopefully you'll see that it's a lot smoother through the turns. The copter holds its attitude a lot better, my copter does compared to this one, and there's a lot less prop wash. By the way, I apologize for the poor quality of the DVR, but I just didn't have enough weight allowance to put a high def cam on here. I'm already running it with a 1300 battery when it's really designed to be run with 1000, and so I didn't want to add any more weight and make it fly any worse than it already maybe was. I didn't want to stack the deck against it. Not quite used to the pitch rate there, so I didn't do that move quite as accurately as I could have. Still having the problem though where during the sweeping turns the copter's nose is kind of wandering around. This is not a lack of eye gain, it's just the motors just can't keep up with the changing aerodynamic situation. See, it's kind of all over the place. I had no trouble getting the copter to track through the turns. I had no trouble with control. It just is these little rough, bumpy characteristics that kind of look bad. See, it's kind of bumpy, jostling around. It's going where I'm telling it to go, but it's not looking sort of ultra smooth while it's doing it. Oh, there's a bad one right there. All right, and we're coming in for a landing. And then I spent about 6 or 8 packs and I tuned it the best I could. Now, I'm only calling this an 85% tune because there's still some flight characteristics that for me to really call this a 90 or 95% tune would have to not be there. However, I question whether, given the setup of this copter with the 1806 motors and the ESCs, I kind of question whether it can get much better than this. We're also running Cleanflight 1.12, which is not, not the best. So this is only an 85% tune by my standards, but it may be as good as this copter could be tuned. It could be like 99% as good as this copter really could be tuned. It is flying pretty well, though. The number one thing that stands out is that it still has some trouble with prop wash. You still get prop wash oscillation during turns. In these sweeping turns like that one there, you'll kind of get this prop washy shudder, and then the copter will kind of hitch or stumble just a smidge as the motor catches. And I really just could not get rid of that no matter what I did. But it's flying pretty good. It's a little underpowered compared to one that I would build. Oh, and here I've crashed. In this crash, I lost the top of the antenna came off. I super glued it back on. It's good to go. No other damage. I was saying it's a little underpowered compared to something I would build. I do have a little bit of a heavier battery on it than it's supposed to have, but on the other hand, it could theoretically fly with a high def cam, and so that would equal out. The 1806 motors and the 4040 props, they're doing the best they can, but it doesn't have that I'm going to the moon thing that you get out of a lighter copter with more powerful motors. For a beginner, this would be a fine copter to learn on, and for the kind of person who wants to buy an almost ready to fly or ready to fly copter, it would be a fine copter to begin on, but you are going to outgrow it. You're going to outgrow it as you get more used to flying and want more power. Here I decided to do a more sort of a race course than acro flying, and just show you how sort of at flat out smooth flying this copter did. Let's take a look. If you watch this turn here, watch the nose right there, how the nose has to get pulled up. I'm still sort of struggling with getting the copter to make really nice, smooth turns. But sometimes you get a good one. Again, as much as I might nitpick the tune because, well, that's what I do, this copter is flying pretty well, and I dare say at this point it's flying better than many people's copters are flying right now. So it's a case where I'm certainly able to squeeze quite a lot out of what they give you. And the great thing about this being an almost ready to fly kit is I'm going to give you the PIDs for this that I'm flying right now, and you can copy them and your copter can fly. If you think this copter is flying well, your copter can fly just as well. Alright, this is Betaflight 3.0. Stock defaults. Pretty good. The prop wash handling is vastly better than before. That little hitch that would occur. Look how smooth it is through this turn. It jiggles a little. The prop wash makes it shudder a little, but it doesn't drop the nose or get unsettled. See that? Now check this out. That kind of yaw-heavy, snappy maneuver will really bring out prop wash or any deficiencies in the PID controller. No problem. See how it didn't jump or twitch there? Just a little prop wash oscillation, but no problem. Jesus Christ. I don't know how much better this is than 2.9, but it is way better than Cleanflight 1.12. Way better. Oh man.